Hello, my true crime lovelies. How are you? I am back again with some updates on Jared Bridegan. Remember how I told you his wife is determined, feisty, determined, all the good things, all the good adjectives. Well, she's done it again. She is filed a lawsuit against R3. We've got Shanna Gardner/Fernandez Saldana. We have Mario Enrique Fernandez Saldana, and we have Henry Tenon. Let's take a look. I like it. She's not holding back. So Kirstin Bridegan, as personal representative of the estate of Jared Bridegan, plaintiff versus Shanna Gardner, an individual, Mario Fernandez Saldana, an individual, and Henry Tenon, an individual. Also, Henry Tenon, I don't know if I said that earlier, is also pro se. Oh my God, what am I saying? His attorneys are pro bono. He is not pro se. Good Lord. What is it called? It's not that. It's they're indigent. They're getting I think it's the JAC funds for their attorneys. So they would have to either hire attorneys for this, or I don't know if I don't know if they can get a public defender for this. Anyway, let's continue. Complaint for damages comes now the plaintiff, Kirstin Bridegan, as personal representative of the estate of Jared Bridegan through her undersigned counsel, and hereby sues defendant Shanna Gardner, Mario Fernandez Saldana, also known as Mario Fernandez, and then in quotation, Saldana and Henry Tenon, and alleges jurisdictions, parties, venue. This is an action for damages which exceeds the sum of $50,000, exclusive of costs, interest, and attorney's fees. So that's one. It belongs in the right court because of the amount. At all material times, decedent Jared Bridegan was a resident of St. Johns County, so he was in the right location. And at all material times, defendant Gardner was a resident of Jacksonville Beach, Duval County, Florida. At all material times, so Saldana and Tenon, so they were all in the right place. So they don't have to have like diversity of jurisdiction, which I don't even know if you do that in state court. I think that's only federal, but you know what I mean. They're all in the same place. So then she goes on to when he was born, the estate of the children has the following survivors. So it's her, and then it's all four of the children, right? So this is what I'm saying and like in my other video, she's the bonus mom we all want. She's looking out for the interest of all of the children because she knows if one of them is not okay, the rest of them are not okay, right? Like the kids are a unit. Venue is proper in Duval County, pursuant to this Florida statute 47011. Facts giving rise to plaintiff's complaint for damages. I need a sip. On or about February 16th, I'm not going to go through this. He had the date night. I can't do it again. Sorry, guys. You can stop it and read it if you would like that. This date night routine had been in place for at least 8 months prior to the murder. So that was every week for 8 months. The only adults who knew where Jared Bridegan would be on the night of his murder were his wife, Kirstin Bridegan, Gardner, Saldana, and Tenon. Jared Bridegan stopped his vehicle on Sanctuary Boulevard to remove a large car, I'm out of the circle, tire, from the road. After exiting his vehicle, he was ambushed and shot multiple times by Tenon. Jared Bridegan died in the road next to his vehicle. When the law enforcement arrived on the scene, they found a tire lying in the road, blocking the path of travel for Jared Bridegan. The tire was placed so that Jared Bridegan would have to either drive in the grass or move the tire to keep driving. And that could have been a booby trap. If he goes up over the curb into the grass, something over there could have like punctured his tire, or do you know what I mean? So law enforcement confirms Tenon's DNA was included on swabs from several areas of the tire.
DNA, dun dun dun, better than any eyewitness.
Law enforcement confirmed the tire belonged to a 2000 Ford F-150 Lariat. A blue Ford F-150 Lariat was recorded on multiple cameras around the area of the murder and became a key piece of evidence for law enforcement. So I showed that in our first video. Blue truck. they got down to a blue truck. And so then they put a call out and they started showing this video of that blue truck. Anybody with any information on that blue truck. So this is entering and exiting the area at the time of the murder. They know that he probably laid in wait, again because of the narrow road. He wouldn't, someone else would have been moving the tire if not on the Bridegan's. So he admitted ownership of the tire, he admitted ownership of the truck, and he admitted his involvement in the murder of Jared Bridegan. On March 16th, 2023, Tenen pleaded guilty to second-degree murder with a weapon. Defendant Gardner and Jared Bridegan divorced in 2015 and shared custody of their twin children. Gardner harbored a deep hatred for Jared Bridegan and resented sharing custody of their children. Gardner further resented having to protect her substantial finances from her ex-husband, Jared Bridegan. Gardner's parents provided substantial financial support throughout the marriage of Gardner and Jared Bridegan. Gardner's parents paid the mortgage of a home in 2011. During the dissolution of marriage, Gardner was required to purchase Jared Bridegan's interest in the home. The financial benefit to Jared Bridegan furthered Gardner's hatred towards her ex-husband. And that was something they mentioned when they were interviewed after the murder. Like, I don't know if that is some sort of consciousness of guilt, Freudian slip, but why would you talk about that? Wendy Adelson did that in her in her interview, wasn't an interrogation, right? Of like, well, he owed me money because she was alleging that he stole. They were both alleging it. But like I said in the other video, the way to have avoided that, and I'm sure I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure they have lots of lawyers. They could have purchased the house and then via an entity. So either her trust, somebody's trust, they could have created an LLC. Do you know what I mean? Like if he had nothing to do with those funds or sign a prenup, but it sounds like she was trying to buy him everything in the moon to get him to marry her. For years following their divorce, Gardner and Jared Bridegan litigated various issues, including child support, what state the children would live in, and the shared cost of medical treatment and equipment for their son, who suffers a medical impairment. No parent was able to relocate the children without the consent of the other parent or by court order. But then little Miss Gardner committed murder. Her husband got arrested. Now estranged. And she hopped her ass on a plane with them kids. Didn't check with the court. Gardner and Jared Bridegan disagreed and argued over the children's medical care, religious affiliation, children's schedules, school appointments, and numerous other issues. Over time, Gardner and Jared Bridegan would only communicate through emails, texts, messages, and third parties. So that seems consistent with both sides, right? Because that is what Mario said in his statement to the police. Now she's saying this in these court filings. So, which again, good on him. Have it all documented. Have a record of it, especially if Mario is the hothead that he was portrayed in the hearing that you guys may or may not have seen, but we'll watch it together. Yeah, just write it all down. And then you don't also have to exchange energy necessarily. So Gardner commented to and approached multiple people about wanting Jared Bridegan killed. Gardner sought the assistance of men she thought would be able to kill Jared Bridegan. Gardner confided in close friends that she wanted Jared Bridegan killed. Gardner asked friends for assistance in finding someone to kill Jared Bridegan. And then they try to play it off as a joke. Just FYI, friends, lovelies, don't talk about killing people in a joking or non-joking manner for extended periods over text. Just not a joke after a while, For several years, Gardner and others discussed through text messages and conversation the desire and intention to have Jared Bridegan killed. Gardner's plan gained momentum when she met defendant Saldana. Gardner stated to others Saldana had the training and ability to plan and execute the murder of Jared Bridegan because Saldana had previously served in the army. What? Okay. They married in 2018. They did not know each other very well when they married. Oh, I'm here for the snark. I don't know why that needed to be. To tell. Their marriage was of convenience and allowed Saldana to help with the twins without raising issues from Jared Bridegan. Oh, because of the courts. So if it's her husband, oh, I see. Okay, so that's why they, whatever he said, did it quickly in our second video. In September 2019, Gardner's parents set up the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust. The trust states Sterling B. Gardner and Shelley Gardner of Alpine, Utah as grantors are entering into this irrevocable trust agreement with Mario y Fernandez Saldana as trustee, creating a trust which shall be known as the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust. Say what? Gardner's new husband was the trustee of the trust. And for those of us who came over from Sarah, this is how I'm used to seeing trustee spelled. But in the jail, it's the Y because it's like the trusty handy person in the pod. Anyway, Gardner's parents deposited significant amounts of money into the trust. Saldana had the authority to transfer money from the trust. The arrangement kept Jared Bridegan from claiming any of this money or pursuing any of the funds through the family court case. Oh, interesting. So they're hiding money. While Saldana, rich people love to hold on to that. That's how they stay rich. It's the broke people out here trying to look fancy. While Saldana may have been the named trustee, he and the trust were nothing more than a conduit for Gardner to receive funds from her parents. The successor section of the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust states the following: when our daughter, Shanna, shall have no further legal entanglements with her ex-husband, Jared G. Bridegan, she may elect to serve as the trustee. With my money comes my mouth, as one of my favorite people used to say. You want my money, you gonna get this mouth. Wow. So when our daughter, Shanna, shall have no further legal entanglements with her ex-husband, Jared G. Bridegan, she may elect to serve as the trustee by delivering a signed and notarized document to the trustee then in office. Her husband, now estranged husband, oh my God, or whoever is at the time, I guess, once they file for divorce, maybe he's no longer a trustee. I don't know. Once Jared Bridegan was out of the picture, Gardner was able to be trustee of her trust. Once Jared Bridegan was out of the picture, Gardner no longer needed Saldana as a husband or as a trustee. Kirstin. Bring it. I like it. It's extra spicy. There were no found connection between Jared Bridegan and the Triggerman tenant, apart from Saldana being tenant's landlord. Saldana owned this home and rented the property to tenant. Gardner repeatedly discussed with Saldana her desire for Jared Bridegan to be killed. Saldana agreed to and accepted the offer to help facilitate the murder of Jared Bridegan. I think it's his Napoleon complex. She wound him up with a little plug in his back, wound him up, and he was ready to go. Saldana assisted Tenon with tracking Jared Bridegan and understanding his habits and the best route to committing an ambush. Gardner and Saldana together formed a limited liability company, First Choice Home Rentals, LLC, to manage rental properties. Gardner was listed as a co-owner of the company. Saldana, with Gardner's permission, transferred money from the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust to First Choice Home Rentals. Saldana then wrote a check from First Choice Home Rentals to Tenon as partial payment for the murder of Jared Bridegan. Gardner and Saldana arranged for and paid Tenon to murder Jared Bridegan. And if it's civil, right? So it's a preponderance of the evidence. It's not the same burden. Doesn't have to be beyond a reasonable doubt. Gardner and Saldana provided information to Tenon regarding where Jared Bridegan would be the evening of the murder. Through the planning, participation, and funding of both Gardner and Saldana, the murder of Jared Bridegan was accomplished. On March 16th, 2023, Saldana was indicted. On August 17th, 2023, Gardner was indicted for murder in the first degree and the other 4 charges: conspiracy to commit, solicitation to commit a capital felony, and child abuse. Yeah, they are both facing the death penalty. As a direct and proximate result of Gardner, Saldana, and Tenon's conspiracy and combined efforts and their individual intentional conduct herein, Jared Bridegan died. Plaintiff Kirstin Bridegan, as personal representative of the estate of Jared Bridegan, claims all damages available pursuant to the Florida Wrongful Death Act, specifically including but not limited to survivor spouse Kirstin Bridegan, consortium damages, and estate damages. Said damages include, but are not limited to, loss of economic support and other services by her husband, which she can never get back, right? Loss of consortium, companionship, love, instruction, guidance, protection, grief, anxiety, emotional distress, and mental suffering. Further, including but not limited to survivor damages for the children of decedent Jarrett Bridegan minors BB, LB, AB, and LB, and estate damages. See, their mom doesn't want their names out there either. Mom and bonus mom. She's doing their initials. BB and LB are the youngest. AB and LB are the twins. Said damages include but are not limited to loss of economic support and other services by their late father, loss of parental consortium, companionship, love, instruction, guidance, and protection, and grief, anxiety, emotional distress, and mental suffering. Additionally, the estate of Jarrett Bridegan has incurred medical, burial, and funeral expenses, and it has lost the prospective net accumulation of his estate that would have accrued had he survived and lived a normal life expectancy, and including all damages allowing under Florida's Wrongful Death Act. So, like, if he had lived his normal lifespan uninterrupted, what was his earning potential? He wasn't even at the top of his game yet, right? He's in his 30s. He hasn't reached his maximum earning potential. And so all of that, like every bonus he would have gotten, every raise, if he left jobs and got a significant raise, all of that is lost, right? It can never be realized now. Battery resulting in wrongful death. So plaintiff incorporates herein and readopts paragraph and realleges paragraphs 1 through 74. Defendant Tenen intentionally shot Jarrett Bridegan. Battery resulting in wrongful death, count 2. Saldana participated in the murder of Jarrett Bridegan. At all material times, Saldana and Gardner intentionally conspired and participated in, planned for, and intentionally caused or ordered conduct Saldana knew would result in the injury and death of Jarrett Bridegan. As a direct and proximate result of Saldana's intentional acts, Jarrett Bridegan suffered bodily injuries, legally causing his death on February 16, 2022. So it wasn't an instant death. And then count 3, defendant Tenen conspired. And then we've got fraudulent transfers against Shanna, Gardner, and Mario Fernandez Saldana pursuant to the Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act. Kirstin wants her man's money because you took him and he can't make any more. By virtue of the underlying plaintiff, Kirstin Bridegan, as personal representative, Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act. So she's citing under which law that she's making this claim, which statute. On July 11th, 2018, defendants Gardner and Saldana purchased this home for $575,000. Really? Wow. I wouldn't think. Okay. You can only get a Matchbox in New York for $1 million, but I mean, Jacksonville's not New York. The down payment and history of mortgage payments are currently unknown to the plaintiff. On May 15th, 2023, they sold the house for almost $1,900,000. So that's more like it, 2023. Okay. But still, on information and belief, Gardner's proceeds and Saldana's proceeds from the sale of the house were transferred to family members directly to accounts under family members' control, to unknown trust accounts, unknown LLC. Oh, so they're hiding money. They're playing peekaboo with the money. Peekaboo. Now I see you. The dogs were like, from the sale of the home under family members' control. So yeah, they're hiding money, including but not limited to Navy federal checking and trust savings accounts. So we know he was in the Army because he was bragging, or she was bragging. That's how he knew how to kill people. The month prior to Jarrett Bridegan's murder, the known Navy federal account held over $250,000. So $250,000. On information and belief, Gardner closed the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust, transferring any remaining funds to unknown accounts, including but limited to transfers to insiders, including family. On information and belief, Saldana closed the Shanna Gardner Irrevocable Trust, transferring any remaining funds to unknown accounts, including but limited to, is that, they repeated that, right? Yeah. Oh no, so one is her and then the other is him. Assets identified in 90 to 100 above are assets that could have been applied to the payments of any debts owed to creditor Kirstin Bridegan as personal. I know that's right. Pay your bills. Pay your bills. On information and belief, the above assets and other yet unidentified assets were fraudulently transferred with the intent of avoiding payment of any claims owed to a creditor. Wow. So they're basically looking on paper like judgment proof, right? You can get a judgment, but where's the money? Peekaboo. So she's saying the transfer was fraudulent. The judgment, so here's what she's praying for. That judgment be entered against defendants Gardner and Saldana jointly and severally, including cost and interest thereon. It'll be Gardner's family that pays it. Saldana has no money, but okay. For avoidance of the transfers to the extent necessary to satisfy the judgment, an attachment or other provisional remedy against the transferred property. So like a lien. Appointment of a receiver to take charge of the transferred assets. Right. And I would also, I mean, they're probably going to need a forensic accountant or a forensic auditor. Enjoining defendants Gardner and Saldana from further disposition of any assets in the possession of defendants Gardner and Saldana for such other and further relief as may be just and proper to which plaintiff is entitled. Plaintiff demands trial by jury of all issues raised in this action. And I don't want to show their addresses because YouTube is being funny about that. So you know what? That means that they're going to show up to trial in their county blues or their prison blues when they have this trial. It doesn't seem like she's seeking relief from Tenon, but perhaps he had to be included for foundational purposes as the trigger person. He is listed as a defendant though, but anyway, yeah, I guess it tells the whole story. He doesn't have any money and she's not asking for any money from him. So one of our lawyer friends will let us know. But I like Kirstin. Like, I just think she stands up for what she believes in. Like, she set up the Bridegan family, the foundation with the boxes, and now this. She's fighting for her kids and for her husband's name. Do you know, like, that his death is not going to be in vain. They're not going to get away with it. There are consequences, and it may be the first time that Shanna has to actually accept a consequence without, no matter how much money her parents have, it doesn't help you in the penitentiary. And if you get the death penalty, you can't take it with you. Was it worth it? I mean, only she can answer that. All right, let me know what you think. Are you feeling Kirstin the way that I am feeling her chutzpah? I'm with it. All right, I'll talk to you later. Toodles.